For United WFC.
Good afternoon, good morning, sorry. Welcome to All for United WFC with me, Anthony, at the Nugget Factory, John Foster's Nugget Factory. How are you today, John?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Something a bit different today.
It is, yeah, no, like change, it's good change,
Yeah.
So we'll see how it works.
Yeah.
Obviously being live, it's great. We put your comments and have your thoughts and opinions in, like and subscribe as always, would be great. Obviously, it's been 3 weeks now since we've had a round of fixtures. We've had the Lionesses in that time, another 2 great wins. We have to mention Tooney, another hat-trick for Everton, which is brilliant from a personal and professional point of view. So great for Russo got some minutes, Ellen did get some minutes. We'd have liked a bit longer, us being United fans, but it's experience at the end of the day. But that's that. The FA Cup is getting boring now, isn't it? Chelsea Man City final. But back to the WSL this week. But before we go into this weekend's games, we'll briefly discuss the previous results. So you had Birmingham v Everton, which was a 0-0 draw. You had West Ham, who lost to City 2-0. You had Man United beat Brighton 1-0. You had Leicester, Arsenal, which Arsenal won 5-0. Now probably the surprise result of the round. Spurs lost to Villa 1-0 at Spurs, and Chelsea beat Reading 5-0. Now there was a correct prediction for you, John. There, you predicted correctly. West Ham would lose to City 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
So with that scoreline, you did beat me this week for once.
I think is that 2 weeks out of 2 or 2 out of 3? I think I'm creeping up a little bit.
Yeah, you're creeping up a little bit, but in case maybe a little bit too late. But,
yeah.
So that was 11-8 after round 19. We're 182 to 157. So I've still got the 25-point gap. So we need
what this week's doing.
Yeah, so I think. Well, yeah, we'll see what we predict later on the show. But briefly, before we do go into this week's, would you say the Villa result was the standout result?
Yeah, massive. Yeah, obviously, we do speak highly of Aston Villa on this channel. We don't think that they've probably got the appreciation and respect they deserve at the start of the season. Manager's done really well. We spoke to a few fans, one in particular this week, Chris, on our Thursday show a couple of days ago, and he's been speaking highly of the manager and what she's doing there. And I'm not overly surprised that Villa did get that result. I think it was always in the pipeline that Villa could always do something good, of course. Other teams around them are unstable. They win some, they lose some. And I think it's good to see Villa pick up those points. I know you mentioned before the show and something else that Chris raised on Thursday about Aston Villa's away form being so good. I don't know if you want to kind of mention some of that yourself now, but it's good to see that Villa's away form is actually so good.
Yeah, as you said, John, I'm certain 16 points out of the 20 that Villa have got have been away from home.
Massive.
So that shows their away from is brilliant. What do you think's blocking them from putting that into home form?
It's interesting because we spoke about this again on Thursday, and is it just the fact that it's not just this, I'm sure, but the home fixtures are 6:30, maybe, or 6 o'clock, 6:30. It is going to impact them in some shape or form because you've got all day to potentially just wait for that game day, and of course it's not just their away, pretty sure it's the away team as well. But yeah, I mean that might have something to do with it. I've seen them play at home 3 or 4 times this season, and they have been very well organised. They just couldn't keep hold of the 0-0 that was hanging on for against some of these bigger teams that I saw them play against. It is an interesting one. I think Villa away maybe they're defensively sound and then maybe catch them on the counter attack. That could be maybe a way of playing.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Do they set up differently, slightly adjusting?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the way game just being like the weaker team in most fixtures. They might be a bit more conservative and it might draw the home team out against them. So obviously in the away games, the counter attack might work a little bit more. But hopefully that they won't be using that this weekend.
Yeah, no, I agree with you definitely. Regarding the previous results, they all went to form. Other than that, pretty much, Birmingham did manage to get a point. A little bit too late. I think we probably agree, which we will go into. But other than that, United, we managed to keep on to a 1-0 win, which has been our downfall this season. But all the other games, they went to form convincingly.
Yeah, also banging some goals as well.
Exactly. City only managed 2, which is crucial in the goal difference. We expect City to win.
Yeah.
But the least they score, the better for us, especially with the last game of the season. If there's one game you didn't want last game of the season, it's certainly Chelsea at Kings Meadow.
Yeah.
But we will move on to this week's games, and we will start with the Saturday game at 2 p.m. It's Brighton v Birmingham at the People Pension Stadium, I think it's called now, with all the sponsors. I can't keep up with it. But it's 6 v 12. Brighton are favourites at 1-3. With Birmingham leading a major miracle, they are close to relegation, but with Leicester playing City, we can assume that it'll be next week that it does get wrapped up. But do you think Birmingham could potentially get something? Why do you think Birmingham couldn't kick off from when they had that great result against Arsenal? Do you just think they caught Arsenal like it was the best time to play them because it was just after Christmas?
Yeah, I think that was obviously a downfall of Arsenal. I can understand that, coming back off a break, definitely. But it is one of those fluky kind of results. I'm always a believer that the table doesn't lie, the league doesn't lie, but a one-off game potentially could. I'm not saying that Birmingham didn't deserve it because they fully did, but if
more,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But again, that's just a one-off game, isn't it? So I think that's probably what it is, and it's such a shame because no doubt we would have took a lot of positives from that game, a lot of positive thoughts and enthusiasm to go into that next game. But if the talent isn't there, then it just makes things a lot harder, doesn't it? So massive shame for Birmingham. We spoke before we went live that we don't think Birmingham will get relegated this weekend. I think the fact that Birmingham have got that game in hand kind of saves them mathematically for the time being. I don't really see them getting anything out of this game. I do see Brighton will just have a little bit too much for them. Will Birmingham look at this as a game where they've kind of got to get something, and they probably will. They probably will think that. But Brighton, even though they've not been great, I think it was 3 wins out of the last 6, won 3, lost 3. I think that's a typical Brighton kind of side this season. I'm going to go for a Brighton win.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you said. I can only see a Brighton win. Fortunately, even if Birmingham do win, I think it's a matter of too late because Birmingham's last games, they've got Chelsea and City to play. So a miracles do happen, but that would be, it's not, miracles normally happen at the higher end. But Brighton, we're team, we've always discussed this all season, but I fully expect at home they'll get the result.
Yeah.
Don't think it'll be lots. Don't think it will be a goal feast like it was when they played Reading. But I think it will be a comfortable one. think Birmingham create a couple of chances, but I'm not backing Birmingham to score here. Prediction time.
Yeah, I've gone for 2-0, so it's not too disastrous for Birmingham. Obviously, it will be probably towards the end of the season. It's all not disastrous, but yeah, I'm going to go for 2-0. I think Brighton will have too much for them, but I don't think they'll steamroll over them. I don't think they've got that kind of quality, and Birmingham will be hanging on one day for as long as they can. So I've gone for 2-0, and that kicks off in about 3 hours time. Is that?
It's a 2 p.m. kickoff, as I was saying.
Yeah, keep an eye for that one.
Yep. So that's that one. I've gone for a 2-0 as well. Just for the same reasons. They don't really. I know they scored 4 or 5 against Reading, but Reading, it was one of them games where who was up for it more? It was a wet, windy day.
I think they've only scored 20 all season, so it's not like
exactly. They scored a quarter of their goals in one game, so that just says it all.
Yeah.
So for me, 2-0 as well. I agree with John. So we will move on to Man City v Leicester now. You might not be surprised that City are heavy favourites at 1-50.
That's massive, that is, isn't it? 1-50.
You can have the draw at 10-1, or if you fancy a shock, then you can get Leicester at 25-1. As we discussed, it should be a straightforward win for Man City. But as United fans, we really need Leicester to keep the score down. Do you think they could, or are you expecting goals galore from City? We know it's going to basically be City pass.
Yeah.
But can Leicester's, and we have seen Leicester stubborn in the season. It wasn't until the last 10 minutes that they beat Chelsea, lost to Chelsea, unfortunately. So we know they can.
Yeah.
But what are you saying at the Academy Stadium?
I can't see. First of all, I can't see City really conceding. I think they've had a real good run in the last few games. They've conceded something like 1 goal and scored 16. So I think that's going to be a sign of the rest of the season. That's kind of what United fans are expecting. Can Leicester keep them out? No, I don't think they can. Not across the whole game. Then you rely on Leicester to score 1 or 2 goals minimum, and I just can't see that happening either. Obviously, we've seen throughout the season there has been shocks. Reading have picked up results against Chelsea, Birmingham against Arsenal. I thoroughly appreciate that, and maybe City might be getting a little bit too confident and cocky. Maybe they are thinking, okay, well, this is a game that we can score 3 or 4 in and really hammer that goal difference. So maybe that could work against them. But on paper, and with the experience the City have got, and with the energy that they're going to bring, and the morale that they've got at the club at the moment, thinking that it's in their hands. Man United might think that it's in their hands, but City will think the same. I can't see City slipping up here, so I am expecting a City win.
Yeah, no, I can't see anything else really than a City win, unfortunately. As much as it'd be brilliant, but we all know City, even if it's 0-0 going into the second half, we know City, once they get that first goal, they end up winning 2, 3, 4, even 5 sometimes, which they've done a couple of times this season. They've pretty much got their whole squad back. Obviously, Steph's out for the season pretty much, but they've got more of a balanced side now. So it all adds to a City win, even if Leicester were at full strength. I still think they're not mathematically safe, but I still think Leicester will. They won't assume they're safe. They're not safe until mathematically caught. But I think in the back of their brain they'll feel quite confident of staying up purely because of Birmingham's form. It was basically because the Leicester Birmingham games that Leicester won them both. If it was the other way around, we would be saying, can Leicester survive? And looking doubtful. So them games in the season were fightable for Leicester's survival, which which they'll be happy to stay up. I think they might be slightly disappointed that the amount of points they got this season, because they did come in with a bit of expectancy, do well. Plenty of WSL experience in the side.
Yeah.
It just didn't click, but
yeah.
A new season, a new manager.
I mean, I think it's been good since Christmas, hasn't it? It's just that build up to Christmas. God knows what went wrong. I think the first game of the season against Villa kind of set the tone.
Yeah.
But they have done they've done more than hold the ball. I think to pick up those 12 points since Christmas, I think has been an achievement, and I agree with you. Let's see what next season brings. Liverpool's going to be up here, so it's going to be a very tough league next season as well. But who knows? But I think Leicester can at least end the season, holding their heads up high compared to where they were halfway through the season.
Yeah, no. So that leads us on to predictions. What have you gone for?
I've gone for 3-0 this one, City.
Oh, so you haven't gone for a total thrashing?
No. What have you gone for?
I've gone for 5-0.
Okay.
City they're just scoring for fun.
Yeah.
Against teams like Leicester now. It could be more, it could be less. It all depends on when City get their first goal. Get it early and the floodgates will open.
Yeah.
So, but if not, then they could frustrate. But once they get that first goal, normally 2 or 3 come. So, yeah, I've gone for 5-0 with that one. We'll move on to Reading v West Ham. Now, this with Brighton is a battle between 6th and 8th. They're 7th and 8th. Brighton are on 25 points. Reading and West Ham are both on 24 points. So they're battling between the 3 clubs for 6th place, which mid-table, bit more money, possibly finishing higher up the league. So they'll want to be, like you've put it before, they'll want to be top of the best of the rest in that mid-table bunch. So obviously they're level on points. They lost last time out to Chelsea and City, which is always going to be a hard feat. But how do you see this one panning out? You look at the teams and you think, this has got a draw written all over it.
Yeah.
But is that the case, or do you think Reading's home advantage helps them?
It has got that draw written all over it. You can see exactly why. So this is why sometimes I like to go against the grain a little bit, because it is quite easy to say draw, and you can see perfectly why. West Ham have been on a slippery slope since they've got that draw against United. I think they drew. So I think they've won 3 out of the 4, and the one that they did win was a cup game against Ipswich. So we know how well Ipswich are doing, but obviously 2 leagues below them. So not being overly impressed with what West Ham have done since their draw against United. So I'm leaning a bit towards Reading here as well. I agree with you. The home advantage is good. Reading have been there or thereabouts all season. At one point, we was almost expecting them to be like a bit of a 4-horse race between us, City, Reading and Tottenham for that top 3 spot, because at one point Reading were up there challenging as well. So I think this could be a time for Reading to get some more points on the board. So I'm leaning a little bit towards Reading on this one.
It's interesting that you think that. Like I said, it could go either way. The predictability, there isn't a predictability with these sort of games. West Ham could quite easily win as well. But I just think with home advantage, Reading are a bit more on. Got a little bit of form, but West Ham, difficult though, they got their point against United and then going back to how they can normally be. But as you've seen Reading, they've got goals. So it's one of them ones, isn't it? It's hard. Do you go for a draw? Do you go for a win?
It's going to be tight either way. I don't think any team's going to run away with this. I don't think it's going to be that kind of game.
No, definitely not. So prediction-wise, what have you gone for?
Well, before I say my predictions, I was going to shout out Barry in the comments. I can't reach the screen, Barry, so I can't put it on screen, I'm afraid.
You'll draw for City.
They'll draw
Let's
against City. Yeah, there's definitely a hope. There's a few fans out there thinking that.
I feel like Barry, positivity.
There's a few fans out there thinking that if we do get this Champions League spot, it'll be because City drop points more than win on goal average. So maybe this could be the game where they do slip up. So Barry got for 0-0 draw against City and Reading 2-1 against West Ham. That's what I've gone for as well. Reading 2-1 against West Ham.
Yeah,
have you got slightly different on
yeah,
this one?
I've gone for the typical play safe draw. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. They haven't got major quality both sides. They quite defensively sometimes. So I just think the 1-1. It's interesting that you say I think this could be the one that City could slip up on. I think Reading or Brighton, even Brighton, because Brighton are funny side, are our hopes for City to drop points.
Yeah.
But we will see. It's funny with Barry's predictions. I said to Barry on the last one, I'll predict us to beat Chelsea 4-0 at Kings Meadow. But that's leads us on to, we will go on to Villa Man United.
Okay.
Obviously, United last time they managed to beat Brighton 1-0, and it's the first time we had done that in the league, because normally we've been winning 1-0, and unfortunately 2 or 3 times we've managed to drop points. So that will give them a bit of confidence, knowing that we can hold on to a 1-0. I know the last few minutes were a bit nail biting, but it's just natural, isn't it? Where you're thinking, oh no, not again. Like we discussed in the match reaction show, Hayley Ladd just got in the way of everything, which was brilliant. Now this is one of these games where I think Villa will pretty much battle in the ninth with Everton, who are 10th. We've discussed Villa's away form. Obviously, this is at home, so they probably would rather play us at home, even though we beat them 5-0 at our place back in December before the Christmas break. You were talking to me earlier about Villa having a few key players out. Did you want to?
Yeah, well, that's what Emma Sanders said on a tweet yesterday. Jill Scott, Hannah Hampton, Alicia Lehman. So that'll be interesting. I think that all 3 of them will be losses, to be fair. Jill Scott's experience in the middle of the park. Obviously, Alicia Lehman looking just down the right. Technical ability. I mean, that would be a great matchup if she came up against Lehman or Hannah, whatever side they play on. And obviously, Hannah Hampton in goal as well. So if they are only doubts, but they're being brought up for a reason. And then obviously we got 3 return as well, who are on the sum now.
Yeah.
But, I think that would be a loss for Villa, absolutely. But I think even with those players, we'll have too much for them. I think we should be looking at dominating this game, playing our own game and perfecting our own game, and we'll definitely have enough for them. I put on a scrolling message on Twitter, are we doing a little bit of disrespectful Villa, because we are kind of saying that, we don't just want to win them, we need to score 3 or 4. And we said that against Brighton, and we walked away from Brighton, even though we won. We was a little bit disappointed because we only scored 1, I think it was, wasn't it? 1-0.
Yeah, it was 1-0, yeah.
So I think that's just a position that Man United find themselves in now. A win isn't enough. We need to win and score goals. And Carla Ward, on an interview before the game yesterday, was saying the exact same thing. Fans are saying that they need to win 3 or 4. And that's no disrespect to Aston Villa, but this is what we need to do. If this would start the season, when we win every game 1-0, it's not an issue. But unfortunately, we're in a position where we need to score goals. And on this channel, we've done 2 or 3 shows in the past couple of weeks about how we can score more goals and who's going to score them, how many do we need. And I think first and foremost, we need to get the win, and we need to get a goal, early doors, but then keep on pushing. three players returning, as we mentioned. You could talk about those: Diane Caldwell, Lucy Stan, and who was the other player?
Kirsty Smith.
Kirsty Smith. Yeah. So that's obviously a bonus as well, isn't it, Anthony?
Definitely. Hayley's done a great job at centre back. Slotted him right there. I know we know she's done it international duty, but to have Diana back there,
yeah,
and then have Hayley Ladd in a normal position, DM will be brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I know Diane's dying to get back out there from her Twitter feed.
Yeah,
passion, isn't it? And a girl through and through, which is what we want with the club, and it helps if they bleed red.
Yeah, literally.
You mentioned the doubts with Alicia Lehman, and that she's probably recovering from her top pin penalty. If none of you seen it, she was in Soccer AM last week, and a penalty went in the top bin. So it
was good to see. That was. Yeah.
It was Barry saying no, Hammerhampton 10-0. Well,
yeah,
they're better off putting their centre back in goal, because she was better than their reserve goalkeeper that time we had to play against them, because I can't remember if she got injured or she got sent off. I think she might have got sent off. They had used all their subs, or they didn't have a sub goalkeeper. So yeah, you never know. With the three coming back is great. I could only see one of them potentially come straight back in.
Yeah,
and it seems to be a shame that it doesn't look like Cena is fit for whatever reason, still struggling.
Yeah,
which is a shame, because as fans we want to see Cena more, and we've only been able to see her against Arsenal, Chelsea. We'd have loved to see her in, no disrespect to the smaller clubs, but you saw she come on 10 minutes for Everton and she nearly scored that world.
yeah.
We want to see a bit like, we'd love to see her score. And you just get that bit of doubt in your mind, don't you, as fans now, thinking, will we ever see her score in a red shirt?
Yeah.
Because what will happen next season? Obviously, she's on loan from Lyon. Do United try and, because they might have seen enough in training, like if we can keep her fit, then she can bring this onto the field.
Well, we know what she can do, obviously, before she comes to United. Obviously, she's not settled because of injuries or whatever. Maybe settle's the wrong word, but it's not worked out for United just yet. And I'm basing that purely on the fact that she's a goal scorer and she had to score goals. But obviously, you can't help injuries. But, what's causing these injuries is the WSL, a league where you need to be 10 times fitter than she already was. I don't know. Is it Man United's fault because we get loads of injuries on the training field? Are we too intense? And this is something that we need to look at in the summer. We looked at it, we mentioned it last season. The amount of injuries last season was our downfall. But it is a shame that we haven't seen the best of her. Maybe it's set up in the stars at Chelsea away. Last game of the season, she'll make a comeback as a super sub or something like that. Who knows? But at the moment, it seems a massive shame that we know how talented she is, but we just can't get her on the pitch and perform at the best.
Yeah, no, I know. You just pretty much summed it up. But prediction time. What have you gone for?
So I've gone for a 3-0 win here. Probably not as much as we need, not as much as other fans, but I am trying to be a little bit realistic on this. Just because we won 5-0 last time, it doesn't mean that we're going to win 5-0 again.
Yeah.
We've not been great at scoring, neither Villa. So I think 3-0 is probably about right away from home. I can just see a few comments here. So obviously Barry's thinking that we're going to score a few more if Hampton is out. But it's going to be tasty. I think we just need to get that early goal, put our minds at rest a little bit as fans. I'm on about now.
Yeah.
And we just need to keep on turning that screw, don't we?
No, exactly. Yeah.
What have you gone for?
Yeah, I've gone for 3-0 as well. Now, we are sitting next together, but he hasn't seen my predictions. They are quite similar this week.
It's copying me, so that way you're guaranteed to win over the season.
Oh yeah, through no coincidence. But as much as I'd like to say, yeah, Man United are finally going to beat someone 8-0, it just wouldn't happen because it's United and we don't score that amount of goals.
Yeah.
And two, the rubbish always getting harder, the oppositions are getting better, so we don't really get them sort of results.
Barry's saying that.
But what's Barry saying?
Well,
is he going 12-0?
Well, close. We've gone for 10, and he's took the mick out of me. I'm saying 3, but Lanzel's saying 4. I think that's around about right, 3 or 4. I can't imagine us scoring much more than that, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Agree. We will dominate possession as we always do against these sort of teams.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the top teams maybe is a bit different, but we do normally. But
keeping a clean sheet, both of us as well.
Yeah.
Everyone in the comments pretty much saying clean sheet.
What we do when we'll dominate possession, but it needs to be good dominant possession up in their box, not in the middle of the park, just playing around like they're in the park,
Mm-hmm.
which sometimes they are guilty of, but it's all about getting the win first, but the goal difference is vital. So I would like a few more goals, but we'll take 3-0. So we will move on to Everton v Arsenal, battling with Chelsea to win the WSL. Obviously, Chelsea are probably favourites now. I know the experts have Chelsea as favourites. Are you expecting Arsenal to keep the pressure on, or could Everton potentially cause an upset?
Everton's season, I mean,
It went off the wheels from the start, didn't it?
It's shocking to see, really. I speak to my work friends about the men's team, Everton's men's team, and they're just like on that downhill slope. And you look at the women's team; they've just never really got that momentum, have they? Even though they've picked up 18 points in total, they've just never got those those back-to-back wins. And you never thought to yourself from day one that okay, they're going to go on and win here, they're going to go on and win, and they just haven't got on that win, have they? So to think that they're going to build any momentum at the end of the season, you just can't see it. Arsenal, on the other hand, I know they've been a bit unfortunate in their cup games, obviously losing to Chelsea and Wolfsburg matches, not great. They are performing in the league. You'd have to expect that to carry on. Away from home, the kick-off time's a bit poor. Not poor, I understand it's Sky, but for fans, they've got to drive back down from Liverpool down to London at that time of night. That's a bit unfortunate for them. But all that being said, Arsenal squad's massive. You expect them to, no matter what team they put out, they're going to have enough for Everton. So I think this game for me is the game where I'm predicting the most goals.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't agree with you on the most goals because obviously I've gone for a City 5-0.
Yeah.
But with what you've said about the Everton Arsenal game now, I agree with you. I can't see another shock. I purely think Birmingham did beat Arsenal because they caught Arsenal on a hangover, which we have seen before. Man United did it a couple of seasons back against Bristol City. It was a bit different. We were the dominant side that day, whereas Birmingham was. You would expect they were the ones challenging for the title that day.
Yeah.
But it's a weird one because Everton had high hopes, didn't they? Champions League, and it from the very first game it just tumbled.
Mm-hmm.
Their third manager now, so they'll
Amazing.
Possibly have a new manager next season.
It's insane that if you're only in like a 22 game season, but you've only 3 managers in that time. Okay, you've got the cups as well, but generally, a 22 game league season and having 3 managers, something's not quite right there, is it?
No, something just hasn't clicked. Because is it a case of getting too many new players in and they're not being able to gel?
Yeah,
mate. But the problem with that for Everton is they've got players that might want to move on to bigger and better things, like Hannah Dennison being one.
Yeah,
she might feel like, well, I was promised this, or we were aiming to do this, and they sort of little bit they had to sort of battle relegation, but they were never really in proper danger, and that's purely because of Birmingham mainly. But no, I just think it's going to be one of them where Arsenal need the win. Everton are just battling between them and Villa for ninth, so I expect Arsenal to bounce back from the Champions League and the FA Cup disappointment with a comfortable win. Prediction-wise, what are you saying?
Barry's going for a 2-0 Arsenal win. I'm going for a 4-0. I think there's going to be goals in this one. And I don't think Arsenal have been doing amazing lately. I don't, but I still think that they'll have enough to beat Everton. So I'm going to go for a bit of a high-scoring game. I'm going for 4-0.
Yeah, and shock, we've gone for the same scoreline again. 4-0. I just think they'll create plenty of chances like they do. Everton will try and do their best to keep them out, but I struggle to see Everton even getting a goal, really.
Yeah.
But you can never say never. There are shocks, but I just feel like Everton, they're sort of in a slump bit where they not really got anything to play for, really. Arsenal got everything to play for, so they want to bounce back that, keep the WSL going until the end of the season, the title race. It'd be brilliant if we could ruin it for Chelsea at Kings Meadow. So 4-0, comfortable for Arsenal. Now, I've left Spurs Chelsea for last because this is the first game they play, and then they play again on Thursday night back at Kings Meadow. Do you think playing each other in such a small space of time twice can be an advantage for one of the teams, or do you not really think it makes a great deal?
I think you can obviously learn. You can obviously learn from your mistakes from your previous game. However, the setup could be completely different. The starting 11 could be different. I think Chelsea need to go for 2 wins here, so you know that what you're going to expect from them. But I think if Chelsea just play their normal game, they'll have enough for them anyway. But I do see a point. It's always interesting when you have, like, usually happens in the cup, doesn't it? Where you play them in the cup and then you're playing again in the league within the next 7 days or so. To have 2 league games is a bit unusual, and it's a tough money for Chelsea. I mean, you look at Arsenal's money, but you think that's a bit more favourable than Chelsea's. But I still fancy Chelsea to actually win the league. You know, Chelsea will look at their remaining fixtures and think, okay, Tottenham twice, United, that's the only season. It's not an easy running, but I do still think that Chelsea have got enough. But looking at the last 6 games, they've won every one. Only conceded 1 goal, which I think was against Spurs, but that was where they won Spurs quite convincingly anyway.
Yeah,
it's everything set up for Chelsea to win at least one of these games, if not 2. First game is away, isn't it?
It is at the Spurs, yeah.
Yeah. Again, I don't think it makes too much difference, if I'm honest. I think they'll have too much for them on both occasions. So the first game I've gone for is 2-0 win Chelsea.
Yeah. And it's another one where we've gone for the same result as well. Just think, because it is away, I think they'll score slightly less, Chelsea. Tottenham have always been quite hard to break down at times, but like we've discussed, they don't really score many goals as well. But I think overall Spurs will be happy with how their season's gone.
Yeah.
But now Chelsea, they're just a different fish, their squad. And players like Lauren James and that, who haven't really even had a chance, could quite easily come in against Spurs and still have that quality to their side. So
I think that'll be the difference when you start talking about 2 games. Is the fact that Chelsea's strength in depth.
England, Sanka, Harder.
They can make them substitutions halfway through, or having like a different starting 11, or they want to change a complete 11, of course. But like you just say there, if they're getting tired, you've still got world-class players to come on. Whereas Tottenham, if they're getting tired for that second game, on the 28th, then you'll see a difference in that second tie, which is probably why I'm going to go for slightly bigger prediction on that second game.
Yeah, no, likewise. But with the Chelsea Spurs game at Kings Meadow, obviously home advantage.
Yeah.
There'll be a few changes, I feel, but I think Spurs probably set up a bit differently away from home.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that's the case, we're still going for a higher win. I know I'm going for a higher win.
Yeah.
Just purely because it's at home and the squad depth they've got. So I'll go first this time. I've gone for a 3-0, which is quite funny because I know why you're laughing.
Yeah, I've got first 3-0 as well.
Yeah.
Much like yourself, they can afford to rest any players that need to rest, and Spurs will struggle still to keep pace with them, I think. And as you say, Spurs have had a good season. If they finish fifth, yes, they'll be safe on Champions League, but were they ever expecting? I'm sure that was their ambition to get top 3, but to finish above United, City, Arsenal, and Chelsea isn't that easy. They have got games in hand as well, so you definitely expect them to finish above Brighton and West Ham, and still probably keep that pressure on. If the worst happens and we lose our last game of the season, maybe Spurs will look at this thinking, well, if we win our Chelsea games and win last game of the season, then maybe they can still push for that top 4 at least. But I can't see Spurs picking up any points purely because of what Chelsea have achieved in the last 6 games and throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, no, they've been very, very consistent. Chelsea, haven't they? Obviously, they did lose to Arsenal first game, but they haven't really looked back well. They had a bit of a stumbling block in December, and COVID hit. But since then, there's been no looking back from Chelsea, and you just fully expect it, don't you? But that's every game wraps up. But before we do go, you've heard it here first. Jackie Grogan's going to score tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If she does, we'll play this back.
You got to score eventually,
Yeah, she's probably going to score. She always scores for Holland. Why can't she score for United?
I think that's interesting. I mean, I've gone for 3-0. I've got no idea who's going to score. I think we're going to have more shots, especially think. Yeah, well, it's easy to say Musa, and potentially she will. I think we're going to be taking more shots outside the box because we need some goals, and I think potentially that's the really could frustrate us.
Risky though, isn't it?
Yeah, because Skinner doesn't like that.
No. So.
But I can see the fans getting on the players' backs because we don't want to walk in the net, and it's going to be very difficult if Villa are sitting back. We might not be able to create those chances in behind the defenders because there might not be any space between the defenders and the goalkeepers. So, we might need to get some shots on the edge of the box, which then obviously favours the likes of Toon and Zella. Lad, if she's playing, will she get space at some point? Or it's going to be interesting to see how. I don't think this is going to be as easy as fans would like.
Yeah.
That's why I've only gone for 3, which is still a good result away from home. But before we get into that game, obviously we've met up earlier, haven't we? We've got a few things that we've got planned. We're really excited about this game, so I managed to get the weekend off, and we're going to support some of our local teams this weekend, aren't we?
But first, we're going to get drunk and get money. We've got United Arsenal, so we that could be drowning our sorrows. And then we're going to watch Stourbridge Men, who is John's local team.
Yeah.
And then
we've got a boxing tonight.
Boxing,
nothing to do with local teams there, but he's a Man United fan at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. King. Hopefully he wins again.
Yeah.
And then the football tomorrow, the women's Stourbridge, and then the main event, United women.
Yeah.
If John was just saying about shooting for the box, I'm saying if all else fails, just hit it and get a corner.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah,
I think that wraps everything up. Thanks for your comments, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Next season, quickly, we are going to think about doing a prediction league so that you guys can join in, and we can a bit like a lineup league sort of thing. We can have like a table and maybe like have a bit of money on it, and
Yeah.
So, but we'll discuss that during the summer and that. But thanks for listening, guys, and commenting. And we hope you have a great weekend, and hopefully it's a happy one for the Reds.
Yeah.
But until then, take care, guys. Thank you. Bye.
See you guys.
Take care.